Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Her Money webinar series. We are delighted to have you join us for this special session featuring inspiring conversations with our three remarkable women leaders who are transforming how India invests. I'm Aditi Sharma, and I look after the fintech business at UTI Mutual Fund. And today, we are addressing something we have all seen in our families. Women are natural savers, but there's immense untapped potential in helping them transition from savings to strategic investments. At UTI Mutual Fund, we believe that women bring unique strengths to investing, like discipline, patience, and long term vision. Today, we celebrate and amplify those qualities through the journeys of our three exceptional panelists. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce you to these wonderful women. Starting with Ela. Ela Dubey is the co-founder and CEO of EduFund. Ela has graduated from the New York University with cum laude honors. Her academic journey led her to organizations like the UN, fostered through her NGO work. She further on ditched her Wall Street career with Quest Partners and used her global expertise to drive tangible social change back home in India. Today, by founding EduFund, a platform that's identified the lack of education financing options for Indian families, thus building a robust financial ecosystem for every Indian, especially women. Our next panelist, Ms. Amrita Sirohia, founder and chief revenue officer for IND Money. Amrita founded IND Money, an early pioneer fintech platform offering mutual funds digitally in India since 2018. It has garnered over 10 million investors to date and counting. With over 20 years of leadership experience in wealth management and fintech, working extensively with brands like HSBC and ISEC, Amrita emerges as one of the most influential voices in the Indian fintech realm. Her motto is to improve financial lives of every Indian by the power of a super finance app fostering the Digital India movement. And also joining us today is Ms. Smriti Putran. Smriti is on a mission to make sophisticated investment tools accessible to every Indian investor. As the head of strategic alliances at Rank MF, she's breaking the barriers between complex financial products and everyday investor journeys. With a decade of experience spanning India's leading financial institutions like HDFC Bank, Aditya Birla Sun Life, and Samco Mutual Fund, Smriti has witnessed firsthand how the right partnerships can transform investor outcomes. At Rank MF, she orchestrates alliances with top asset management companies and financial services providers, ensuring every first-time mutual fund investor, whether in Mumbai or a Tier 3 town, makes a confident and informed decision. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today on this webinar. Now, without a further ado, let's dive into this fascinating conversation. I'll start with Ela. Ela, you returned from Wall Street to solve India's education financing challenge. In one line, what was the moment you realized that this was a problem that needed to be solved?
Indian parents spend 30% of their earnings on their children's education, but don't see education financing as a dedicated goal in their larger portfolio. And that's when we knew, when so much money was going towards education, a financing solution had to be made to facilitate and help parents.
Ela, you returned from Wall Street to solve this very problem, but on a daily basis today, parents, especially mothers, coming to you with a lot of worry about their children. What's the biggest mistake you see them making? And more importantly, what would you say that mothers should start from today?
There are two things. The first is a lot of mothers think that they can't invest because they're typically not taught how to do so, or they think that it's the father's responsibility to take charge of financing the child's education or thinking of a dedicated way to save, which is a myth that I am trying to bust personally and through my own work, right? Because mothers are they're major influencers in this decision of where the child's going to go to study, where, when, etc. So they should not take a back seat in the financing journey. They should take a front equalizing seat. The second thing is they wait too long. Mothers think parents think they have all the time in the world and that, Aage jaake we'll see. But the truth is, the sooner you start, the happier and, that safety net your child's going to have for their future education. So these two things predominantly.
Absolutely. I completely resonate with your point of waiting too long. In fact, there is another problem that I feel exists, that a lot of people, especially mothers, they think that, why do we need to save? We'll take an education loan, because that's how, people are approaching their lives these days. If it's easier to get a loan, let's do that instead of saving money or investing, to create wealth. What do you think would be your pitch to those parents, especially mothers, about saving, not borrowing?
See, I think ultimately, if you take a loan, the capital is yours or your child's, but it's the families that they have to repay. Why not start to invest, watch that money compound, and take care of that liability now versus later, right? If you can do something about it, why wait? I don't think education loans are necessarily the devil. I had to take one myself, but I think there has to be a balanced approach with how much you save versus how much you take in a loan. Second, it's not as easy as people think to just, get a loan, walk away, start your education. There are obviously parts of it where one has to get assessed for their credibility to take a loan, but it doesn't take much to save. 500 rupees, 1,000, start investing. There's plenty of, mutual fund opportunities where you can start with just 100 rupees. So yes, I think saving and investing is definitely the low-hanging fruit.
Absolutely. I totally understand when you say that there has to be a healthy balance, and that's exactly what we are trying to send a message out to the women today. I'd move to Amrita now. And Amrita, you've spent 2 decades in wealth management and you co founded IND Money. In one sentence, what gap were you most passionate about solving for Indian investors, especially women? You being a woman yourself.
Sure. So I think the biggest gap that we were trying to solve at that time was that most Indians, their money was fragmented and there was opacity in managing personal finance for everyday Indians, right? The money was scattered between brokers, banks. So we wanted to consolidate, and a user was able to track his net worth real time in seconds. Right. So that was the major problem that we were trying to solve back then. But then obviously we made a lot of products very accessible to users, like US stock investing, which was not very accessible by all. We pioneered literally on the US stock investing. You can open accounts in seconds, you can start trading, and you can, like Ila mentioned, you can start at the box. So that's something that we kind of solved.
Great. And many women tell themselves that I'll invest when I earn more, or let me take care of my family first. My needs come, second or third or last, perhaps. The guilt factor that women go through. While there is little education that women have already about financial products, I just wanted to understand from you, how do you reframe this mindset for women through your platform, through your ideology?
I think this is something that is very personal to everyone, right? I think there's no harm. Women are supposed to be more empathetic, more loving, and all of that, right? So if you put your family first, or if you want to do that, there's nothing wrong in it, right? So I think it's a choice that you need to take, where to place yourself. What I tell my female colleagues and investors is that don't drive into guilt when it comes to yourself. If you want to take that holiday for yourself, go take it. If you want to buy those shoes, go buy it. The thumb rule is that don't spend all the money that you're earning. Some part of it should be saved and should be invested. Now, how much, again, depends on which life stage you are in. If you just started earning, you would probably be saving less. But even if you're saving less, at least start. And then as you graduate in your career, you'll start saving more. So I think that's digital. Yeah, that's what I would say.
So, just a follow-up question there, Amrita. That's a very interesting point when you said that savings, investments have to be according to your life stages, right? But are there any specific portfolio mistakes also that you see women making, in your own experience?
Yeah, we all make portfolio mistakes, and it's not just women centric. Even men make the same mistakes, right? When it comes to managing money, it's always our last priority. We always prioritize our work first, right? So, first mistake is to not even look at what the portfolio is doing or how it's performing. And then, tolerating underperformance too much. You're not really looking at, you going on letting a fund underperform or a stock or anything else underperform without questioning as to why and not changing. Asset allocation mistakes. You're too skewed towards a particular asset class. You're not really thinking, is your asset allocation aligning to your life goals or your cash flow requirements? Is the asset allocation giving you the kind of returns you planned for your investments? Tax efficiencies. Is my portfolio really tax efficient? Are the kind of debt investments I'm making or instruments I'm choosing, are they really tax efficient? Over diversification. I have seen people having hundreds of stocks and hundreds of funds, right? So you somewhere diluting and killing your top performing assets by over diversifying so much, right? And then there are other mistakes like you choosing products which are illiquid.
Hmm.
My theory is that if a liquid product can give you similar returns, liquidity is very, very important. So these are, I think, some of the mistakes I can think of off the hand, but it's not specific to women. I think specific to women would be, I think, they are less of a risk taker. So
Hmm.
their asset allocation might be more skewed towards debt than
Hmm.
equity. But that's again to do with your personal risk appetite, right? I wouldn't really call it a mistake because that's maybe that's what you're tolerable, that's your risk appetite. So yeah, I wouldn't really categorize this as a mistake, but I would definitely encourage people because if you look at the returns that long-term compounding can do, even a 1%, 2% difference in returns can really change your end goal amount.
Absolutely. That is so insightful. I think that really gives us, not just women, but every investor right now listening to you would get so much insight about what they should be doing to build a better portfolio. Thank you so much. And I move to Smriti now, and I want to ask her because she belongs to an organization that has been pretty much the bridge between the old and the new, the traditional and the technology. So, Smriti, that now that you are literally working in the intersection of technology and traditional mutual fund distribution, I want to know what excites you about making investment more accessible through technology.
So, Aditi, I think technology has itself evolved a lot in India. And the most important part is the enthusiasm with which Indians have embraced it. I mean, when I started my career in the mutual fund industry, I had seen that, people always wanted to do it the traditional way, didn't want to go digitally. But today, when you look at every Indian that's there out, everyone is adopting technology, be it a simple UPI technology, buying a vegetable to doing a large foreign transaction also online. And most importantly, what has happened is that people have started, taking everything digitally itself. Like from, for example, a distributor would like to empanel, onboard, transact, do KYC, and do everything just with a click of a button. So technology, I think, is like a big, vast ocean, and a single drop of change kind of revolutionizes completely. So even in the investing world, I feel that technology has played a very, very important part. There have been so many changes that we've seen in the mutual fund industry pre and post COVID. Where technology has played a very, very important role, and the way we look at doing investments as well.
Absolutely. And what really, when I was listening to your answer, I was thinking that you may have come across a lot of such investors, especially who are transitioning from the traditional aspect of having taking some help from their agents to coming to the digital platforms. What is the fear that they most face? Because I know in mutual fund we often talk about a lot of disclaimers. People have their queries about whether they lose their money, whether what if the market crashes. The fears are real, right? So have you really seen such fears, especially from women? Because as Amrita was mentioning, that women do seem to be a little bit of a less of a risk taker, right? So what would be your experience in that?
So I would also agree with Amrita's one point was that it's not only fair to say that women take fear. Men are equally fearsome. I mean, they also get scared when they look at their portfolios in the red. So yes, everyone gets scared. The only thing is that women, when they invest with a goal in mind. And those goals are quite emotional goals, like their kids' education or kids' marriage. So any kind of correction in the market, any kind of downside risk that comes into the market, because there's an emotional factor attached to those goals, they get a little more emotionally feared in those kinds of situations. But thanks to the regulators that are there, SEBI and AMFI, they have kind of created these literacy awareness programs for women where we empower them, we teach them, we tell them about the product that they are investing, what they are investing into. And the good part about women is that they understand and they strategically invest in any of the product. So what they do is they understand the product, what is the downside risk to that product, and obviously they understand it without any jargon. So the most simplified way I kind of tell my investors that this is the kind of risk that's associated without using any jargons, then they understand the risk that is associated with the product. So yes, women do get feared when there is a market correction. Like I said, it's because of the emotional aspect through which they are investing. Other than that, if you educate the women investors about the products, I think they are much more relaxed and much more of a better investor when compared to the counterparts. So they will not do a fearful selling in a red market as long as they understand the risk associated with the products.
I totally resonate with this point, Smriti. But that also brings me to a very interesting thought. Like, because you have seen this pattern in the smaller towns and cities, right? I just wanted to understand from you, like, how would give me an example or probably a picture of how would a woman be thinking differently about investing in, say, a smaller city or town versus somebody in Mumbai or Delhi or a bigger metropolitan city. Like what would be their understanding of one mutual fund as a product, and then technologically as accessing it, right?
So what happens is in the mutual fund industry, we have experts who understand this market, who've seen the different market cycles that are there. They understand the cyclicality of the cycles, the funds that one needs to invest in. Luckily, we have a large number of these experts in the market. And with technology, what has happened is even a tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4 investor can get those expert advice. I mean, it's not necessary that the investor has to be sitting in Bombay, Delhi, or a metro city just to get those expert advice. Today, because technology has evolved so much, digitally people can connect. Digitally, like I said, transaction can happen. You don't need to go to a bank to do your KYC. You can sit in your drawing room. You can open an account. You can do your KYC. You can invest. I mean, you just need to have a smartphone, you need to have a UPI app, and you need to have your basic government documents like PAN card, Aadhaar card, and you can also start investing in mutual funds or start investing in capital markets altogether. So I think technology has made it so easy for any investor, be it a tier 2, tier 3, or a tier 4 investor, to come and invest in. And I think they are people who've not really seen this complicated financial products. They have only been investing in the traditional products. So the experts, when they come and they, advise them based on their goals, I don't think they, would be looking at their balance sheet or their portfolio on a daily basis. They will be the pure investors who put a financial goal and will start investing on it and will not touch it till that goal is met. So, that's the way these investors work around. So,
I
Perfect,
think the
perfect.
issues there will be different. I don't think it will be more related to asset allocation or how do I start investing, right? Their issue is that, okay, they are sitting on a 36%, 40% loan. So she
Yeah,
should not be clearing this bad rate loan first. So the financial smartness is something that, people like webinars like yours should be educating that, first clear your high interest loans, which are at 30-40%, because that's what is to get you to start thinking growth and portfolio. And, take a medical insurance. There are
yeah,
people who are struggling with because no medical insurance, right? So
yeah.
that's the first bit, which is securing and safety of your finances by taking these correct insurances or not picking up high rate instruments. Those are the things I'm sure is at a very rural level, not even tier 3, tier 4, but those are the things I think which requires education.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a very pertinent points that you've mentioned, Smriti and Amrita both. In my next segment, I'm actually going to dive deeper into this realm where we are thinking of understanding how women approach investing differently. Of course, we are trying to educate women as much as possible with these efforts and more, but at present, if I had to ask, and I'll start with Ela because she's into a very important and a very sensitive subject that I feel women feel very sensitive towards for their children's education. So, Ela, in education planning specifically, do mothers and fathers approach this goal differently? What role do you think women typically play in these decisions in India today?
I mean, definitely they approach the goal very differently, right? Because for us as Indians, if you have a kid, what's more important than your kid, right? It's your child's future, it's their equity. And the way that a lot of us have worked historically is that the next gen supports this generation, right? So to some way, it's also your future planning that you're doing with the child. But from, your chaiwala to an industrialist, education, financing, and planning for that is one goal that unifies every parent, right? Irrespective of your income, it's what you're going to worry about. It's your child's future. Now, typically, yes, because it's a long-term goal, if you start early enough, parents are going to think about it very differently than their own retirement or for shorter term goals. And what I have seen, it's very long-term. I've seen parents that have started doing this when kids are 2 or 3 months old, which makes me very happy to know that they're thinking this long-term. Typically, in traditional family structures, whether you agree with it or you don't, not expressing a personal opinion, but what I have seen is that mothers are still primarily responsible for the child, right? From being there, raising the child, making sure they're going to school on time, etc. And so they have a lot of influence over the outcomes of where the child is going to go and get an education. If they want the child to get counseling, who's the best counselor? When I've been approached by parents on counseling options, for example, it's always the mom coming to me, right? Which makes me wonder then it should also be the mom making the decision on the corpus, how much they're spending. I wish it was more mothers making that decision. It's still largely the fathers, but something like I mentioned, I've been encouraging through my own personal journey is reminding moms that, hey, I mean, you are part of this cycle in a very major way. You're part of your child's life and raising it. Why aren't you a part of the financial decision making, right? And we've grown up seeing our mothers put money under the bed. We've seen them putting it in the chawal ka dabba, right? We've seen our grandparents doing this, our grandmothers, our nannies, our dadis, our ajis. So, I mean, why can't that money be taken and invested somewhere? Is what I ask so many of these women when I come across them, because these are age-old things that we've been seeing growing up, right? But rather than putting it under a bed, put it in a mutual fund, invest it.
Yeah, Ela, I have a follow-up question on that, and that's very interesting. And I come back and kind of circle back to that question that I had initially. That I think most women in India, even if they are educated, and I probably want each of you to kind of give a bit of your experience on this particular question. I think women predominantly think that they are, that the men in the house can take care of the financial decisions better, that probably they know better. Even if they can actually go out there and read themselves and probably educate themselves through various mediums, they somehow continue to believe that it's a man's job. Is there something that we can do today in our effort to kind of educate women and empower women to let them know that it's not that difficult, Ela?
I believe, and this comes to Smriti and Amrita's point, yes, I mean, men may be risk averse too. That's okay, right? I mean, men and women may be risk averse alike, but I do believe women are not taught how to take on risk in the same way that men are from a young age, right? And I believe, and it may sound slightly controversial, but I think it's very important for the men in our lives to show us how to take risk if there's not a strong woman that has been educated and can't do that, and I'll give you a very personal anecdote. My father would push me in the deep end from a very young age. He raised 2 daughters, and he always told us, there's nothing you can do or a man can do that you cannot, right? And I think that's very, very important, even in the realm of investing, for men, who have historically taken on this role of being, taking on risk, investing, leading funds, etc., to also educate women that, hey, you can do absolutely the same thing. And same thing in the role of the house and the family, right? And that's what I tell a lot of the fathers that I come across. It's equally your job to teach, the woman of the matriarch of the family to do this too, right? So that's my personal belief.
Yeah. So, yeah, just picking up from that, Ela, Amrita, I want to come to you and ask you that, yes, as I just mentioned, how can we, empower women at least emotionally and mentally so that they can also try to come in the mainstream of investing. But what all are the things like, what do you think we can do to better them in their risk appetite and maybe probably making them understanding about the portfolio choices, etc.?
So I think first of all, women should raise their hand that yes, I want to be empowered, right? You cannot just say कि मैं तुम्हें पढ़ाऊंगा, but I don't want to study, right? So you, first of all, are you willing to, right? See, because what has happened is now we've spoken so much about whatever has been happening traditionally with women, right? Now, if you look at traditionally, first of all, not many women were financially independent. They were dependent on the man for, and hence automatically to say, do I have a right in where my kid will go for education or where the money will be invested, automatically did not go to her because she was not even earning her own money, right? And then traditionally, if you look at it, a woman is supposed to take care of the household, cooking, raising the kid, all of that. Now, when women started earning and then when we started getting financially independent, I'm not saying not things have not changed. They have really changed and really evolved. Even now today, men participate in taking care of the house, raising the kid. It's changed. But having said that, a woman always has a lot more to do, right? She has to raise the kids. She has to take care of the household. It's like yeah, this is like her duty. So at that point of time, when a man says, "Okay, I'll take care of the money," she says, "Yeah, sure, do something," right? So, but at the same time, the trick is let him take care of the money. If it's completely your decision and your relationship to decide who takes care of the money, but be involved. Because I've seen when, things when there are emergencies and when you then need to get involved, when there's a situation, you're getting divorced, there's a death, something like that, then you're completely clueless.
Yeah.
So, keeping that in mind, at least be involved. It's okay to not be fully in charge, but at least understand you have apps like ID Money to immediately just take a stock of everything, gives you tracking, your entire net worth, assets, liabilities, returns, taxes, everything is in one place. So, at least start getting involved. But at the same time, like I said, Aditi, the woman has to raise her hand first to say that, yes, I want to be empowered.
Absolutely. And Smriti, when you see women coming to your platform, what are they looking that might be different from male investors? So, one is obviously wanting to be empowered themselves, as Amrita said, they would have to make that choice. But at the same time, the ones who are actually coming in the mainstream, what's the major trait that you see different from men?
So Aditi, when women investors come on our platform, obviously they are looking at investments, right? I mean, they are not financially so-called dependent on the male right now. So the generation that we've come and the way we've grown as individuals, a lot of women are now working. I mean, we all are working, and we all are earning. And like Ila said, women have something in our blood that is called savings. So even if you're a homemaker, you still know and understand savings. I mean, there is a budget that you get from the male who is going out and earning. You get a budget and you're saving out of it. The only drawback would be that we've not exposed them to investing, and that is maybe because of the financial jargons that are getting used. Because they have not maybe taken a course in finance, maybe they've not heard of mutual fund or say large cap, mid cap as a category, they don't understand. So if we are providing them solutions which are in a simple way, which are not using jargons, it is depicting what they would be requiring. That is something that attracts the investors. So on our platform also, we get women investors who want solutions, who want an answer. They don't want to understand what is the CAGR or what is the risk, the ratios that are there. I mean, that is something which is they don't understand and something which is not required. I mean, if there is a solution that I'm providing to them for their achievement of their goal, and they are happy to invest there, and that's something that we provide to them. So they require solutions which are without any jargons, which are easy to understand and quickly invest through digital technology that's available. So I think that is about women investors. I mean, be it a person who is a career oriented woman who's earning a salary and earn, because a lot of the working women also have a lot of savings that we do, because women have it in their blood to save. Even if you're not working and you're a homemaker, you will still save. Like Ila said, grandmothers used to save money, they will accumulate the wealth and then they will give it to the grandchildren on their birthdays. So they didn't understand, that savings could have actually grown more had they invested somewhere. But now, like I said, there is a lot of educational, like y'all are also providing, and all the regulators are providing. They understand, what investing is.
Perfect, perfect. That sounds great. I have a few myths that, I mean, of course, we have spoken about a few myths that women already have, like investing is too risky. And we also spoke about, we need a lot of money to start. But there's a very interesting myths that I have come across. Many people, especially women, think insurance is investing. How do you come? I mean, first of all, have you come across these myths? Like, should I wait till I earn more, like we were discussing? But the most funniest thing was for me, insurance is investing. How do you bust this myth for women if they come across towards you with this query?
So, Aditi, when people come with this myth now, first of all, I tell them that, insurance is for your protection. Unfortunately, till a very, very long time, the awareness for investment products was very less. It was only after, the Amphi came in and, they started the mutual fund Sahi Hai campaign where people started understanding what mutual fund is. Till such time, people just thought, tax bhi save ho raha hai, kuch investment bhi ho raha hai, so insurance is the best product. But like I said, when you start telling them about the intricacies of the product in a very, very simple term, people catch it very fast. I mean, that is one trait that we Indians have, that हमको समझ में बहुत आ जाता है when it comes to savings, because every Indian is a saver, be it a male or a female. Women
Right.
save more than men, but we understand things very quickly about saving. So when you tell them the intricacies of a product, they understand. While they will not understand, what a particular stock is going to do, or their P ratio is what, all those things they may not understand. But when you tell them the actual product, the underlying product that is there, that insurance is only for protection, the investment or the return that you will get is so and so, there are so many charges, then
Right.
there is where they will then understand, and they'll take a step back, and then they will listen to you. So it's not that we
Absolutely.
discount the experts in the industry, but yeah, they understand that, and then they will change their portfolios accordingly.
Amrita, you have a platform that provides many products together, right? And this question must be coming up, if not in the big cities by educated women, but definitely women who haven't had so much exposure to the financial world. How do you break this myth of insurance is not investing?
Yeah, see, I think this also comes back from tradition. Like I have seen my dad stocking up a lot of endowment policies of LIC in his cupboard, saying these are all my investments, right? So, and the story sounds good, right? Give 1 lakh for 10 years and take 20 lakhs in X years, right? So the story sounds good that, okay, wow, I'm giving this much money. And traditionally, endowment plans were a major source in which people saved, invested. Now, of course, the world has shrinked and you have a lot many more options. And you want to be more aware of the cost structures of liquidity. Like I said, if an instrument can give you returns without being locked up, you'd always prefer that. Liquidity is very important. So a lot of these things now people are more aware of, and hence insurance is sort of losing its power when it comes to as an investing instrument, although still very strong because people still like debt products which are guaranteed returns. Some of these endowment schemes that are there in the market. So I would I would say that. It maybe it comes down from tradition. Like if you see real estate also is a similar thing, right? If your families have been very heavy investors into real estate, your tendency automatically becomes ki, haan, theek hai, let's buy that land, let's buy that apartment, because that's how you've traditionally seen your family invest. So I think these are this is again, part of asset allocation. If you understand your cash flow requirements and if you do your asset allocation well, then you will really understand that what is matching my goals and where should I be really doing asset allocation instead of just saying which instrument is good or bad, right? For example, gold seems like a very good instrument for investing right now, especially given the returns in the last few
Right.
years. But if I was an investor and I went and bought jewelry, with
Yeah.
a lot of making charges, impurities, then again, while I did a right asset allocation, I chose the wrong instrument.
Wrong instrument.
Right. So I
Absolutely.
think it's not that simple. I think investing, you have to really understand asset allocation, understand your cash flow requirements, and then do allocation to products. So these all
Absolutely.
come under product selection, which again becomes very important. So these are the
Absolutely.
nitty-gritties that I think if you understand well, or take an expert's help if you don't understand well. And now, of course, AI is solving everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Ela, I want to ask you on that note, while insurance is not particularly a challenge that must be the heads of the investors that come on your platform particularly, but I'm quite sure you must have these questions coming that I need a lot of money to start. And you, when we started the conversation, you mentioned that today we can start with as small as 100 rupees. I just want you to throw some light on how parents can actually break that mindset that you don't need thousands and thousands of rupees to start. You could start small and build over it over a period of time.
So, Aditi, it's actually a myth. People come to us thinking that they are investing when they've bought, insurance or LIC, especially certain kinds of insurance products that are actually packaged for their kids' education, right? So we do get a lot of that archetype too. I just wanted to say that. But for us, and I think it's very, very important to educate the audience that you have to measure inflation. And for us, education inflation is higher than household inflation. And so you got to be really, really clear to Amrita's point about asset allocation against what you are targeting, right? And inflation is a good metric or barometer of that return. Now, to your point, the barrier to entry, in the world that I operate in mutual funds is very low. And it is a myth that parents think you have to start with a lot of money, but that myth is only busted with time, right? Because we all know that our investments compound, and the longer time horizon you have, a significant change in the corpus. And we see that for parents that start 5 years sooner than parents who come to us 5 years later. And a lot of that amount is a function of how soon you start. So actually, it could be the opposite. You could maybe potentially require a significant amount more to invest every month to catch up to that target goal you have for your kids' education. Because remember, education is no longer cheap. You can get closer to that goal of saving if you start early enough. But really for us, we believe it's a function of how soon you get started. So if you have more time, then yes, I think that barrier to entry does reduce, or you at least reduce the amount of loans that you have to take, versus if you start later, then that barrier to entry certainly could be much higher depending on how much you're looking to save.
Absolutely. I think that's a very, very pertinent point. And I think, before going to the next and the last segment, which will be the very interesting and the very infamous rapid fire round, I wanted to, just ask you guys if you have some, like a very small anecdote in your life, because let me just start with mine. I think in my life, the one woman I kind of tried to educate financially is my very dear friend and my house help, who actually she's been working with me for over 10 years now, and I've been trying to slowly and steadily bring her into the realm of financial savings as well as investing. So I started with her opening a bank account, and then starting to use UPI, and then starting to go on one of these apps to start investing. And I've been taking those efforts to make her more financially educated and independent. Is there any anecdote or a story about in your life where you had such an experience with a woman, you kind of changed their thought process? Amrita, with you?
Yeah, I think it's primarily with the house helps when it comes to personal life. And yeah, I think my mom is a housewife, and she also saves whatever bit she can, and she keeps calling me for advice. Yeah, I don't have a particular story as such, but yeah, those are the small ways. Otherwise,
Yeah.
of course, we do a lot of these education stuff for not just women, men also.
Yeah. Ela, I'm sure you must be experiencing far more, with women than most of us do on a daily basis.
So during my fellowship last year, the project that I worked on was working with Anganwadi women. And so we worked with 100 Anganwadi women to get them started on micro SIPs. And just the process of understanding and educating them what it means to even put 100 rupees away, even as, a small investment, was really eye-opening, but also empowering them, because a lot of them are they're the breadwinners, actually. A lot of these Anganwadi workers are the breadwinners in their family, and to teach them about what it means just to silo a little bit of that money away and watch that grow and track that was, for me, more eye-opening, maybe even for them, but to just understand and watch them go through that process of becoming more financially aware. So it was working for the first time with that cohort of women, which was really incredible for me.
Brilliant. And Smriti, do you have a story to share with us?
There's no individual story that I have, but we've been doing a lot of women awareness programs, and we have group of ladies who come in who are either kitty party women who come in for these sessions, and at that time. When we talk to them about just a simple concept of power of compounding and how a simple 15,000 rupee SIP over 15 years with a 15% compounding return, how it can change over the years, and by just changing the amount, the time, the corpus, how it can increase, and them coming up and saying that, oh, we can educate our grandchildren about this, we can educate our children about this, that you should start saving. So while obviously they don't have that kind of a time period to invest in, but that the journey that they are, whatever education they got from us, they are wanting to pass that down to their generation so that they can start investing, be it girl, be it boy, whatever, but they are trying to impart that education to them, because like Amrita also said, and Ila said, that a woman's duty is to take care of the house, they educate the children, they do everything for their children. So by just imparting a financial learning that they got to them, I think that is more empowering as well.
Absolutely. All right, then we enter the interesting part of the conversation, the rapid fire round. I will start with Amrita. I will ask 2 quick questions to each of you, and I would love to know your personal opinion and your answer to that. Amrita, your first question is: if money was no constraint, what would be your dream investment goal?
My dream investment goal. I would just travel. I would travel a lot. I would, yeah.
Yeah, so I think then you should start an SIP to travel abroad.
Yes.
And what's your dream location? But a follow-up question on that.
I love beaches. So,
Okay,
yeah. Any beach.
perfect. Your second question then is: one thing you wish every woman knew about mutual funds.
कि वो सही है?
Yes, fantastic. Yes, mutual fund sahi hai. Great. Ela, coming to you. Tell me, what was your first SIP amount and why? And when actually?
Long ago, probably right after I left college, so it must be 15, 16 years ago. $100 back then, because it was a nice round number and I didn't know better. That's the honest answer.
Amazing, great. And since you have such exposure to the world of finance largely, the second question is: a financial book, quote, or principle you swear by.
I like Warren Buffett's quote that if your salary is your only income, then you are one step away from poverty. So start investing.
Nice. Absolutely. So I just got goosebumps, guys. Smriti, your question then is: what financial milestone are you most proud of achieving?
I think it would be the first car I bought with my own savings. So I
All
think
right.
that would.
All right. And I would ask this question again to you, since you are exposed to a larger amount of women in the smaller towns. Amrita gave the very interesting answer, but what is that one thing you think that women knew about mutual funds?
Knew about mutual funds.
Yeah, they knew about mutual funds.
That's something that only men can do, and you need a lot of money to start investing.
Absolutely.
So that is something that
Absolutely.
they knew, but
Yeah.
now they don't know that. They know much more about mutual
Much
fund.
more
It's
of
something I feel.
Absolutely. Great, great, guys. That was fantastic. As we close, I'd like each one of you to share one key message, one advice that you think will help women watching us today take charge of their financial future. What's the one thing they should start doing right now? Amrita.
I would say start investing. There is never a right time. If you're worried, then start small, learn from your mistakes, and then then scale your investing. But starting and taking a plunge into it is the easiest way to learn.
Ela?
I agree with Amrita for sure. I mean, start, but I think women should learn how to play poker because it teaches you a lot about risk. So play online poker and start betting and taking risks.
Yeah, absolutely. Smriti?
So I'll continue with what Amrita and Ela said. Start investing, learn poker, take risk, and if you're scared, take expert advice and do the right asset allocation while you're doing investments.
Absolutely, that is such valuable insight. And I think everybody, of course, women mostly, but every investor who's listening to us today should know that they have to start. They can start small, but they have to be consistent. They have to be very, very, poignant with their risk taking. They should learn how to take more adjustable risks in their lives, and they should take advice. Absolutely, advice is so very important in life, so they should always keep themselves educated and well advised in life, especially in investing. Thank you so much to our phenomenal panelists, Ela, Amrita, Smriti. Thank you for your time, your honesty and inspiration. You're not just building businesses, you're building a movement. I'm so proud of you all, and thank you so much for joining us. To everyone who's watching us, your financial journey starts with a single decision. Let today be that. On behalf of UTI Mutual Fund, thank you for being a part of today's Her Money conversation. Stay tuned for our next regional webinar. Till then, it's goodbye from me. Take care. Bye bye.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.